Daredevil season one up to this point in the MCU, and I think this still stands, is definitely one of the best things to ever come out of Marvel. And at this point, it is still on Netflix, you still have the television division, but season one of Daredevil's so good. Arguably, it is the worst season out of the three. There are a lot of things that make this show really great. For one, it's totally rewatchable. We've rewatched this show and this season numerous times. The cast is fantastic. I think that is definitely one of the best things about it. You have such a fantastic cast here, and I can't imagine a single actor being replaced and played by someone else. They're almost iconic at this point. Several of them definitely are. Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio are certainly iconic in these roles. Deborah Ann Wool is fantastic. I can't see anyone else playing Karen Page. Eldon Henson is definitely Augie Nelson. I am very happy we got both of them back. This is a fantastic show. It has great writing. I think there's maybe one episode that is a little bit slow, maybe one or two, where it's not up to par, but the par for this season is very high. But I think to me, the best part about this show and this season is the cinematography. The cinematography in this show is spectacular. And up to this point in Marvel, we haven't had outstanding cinematography. We've had good cinematography for sure, but this show is just a bar above everyone else. It is so well done. All the scenes in the rain, the choreography with the fights, the hallway scenes, it's fantastic. This show is so good. If for whatever reason you haven't watched it, please go watch it. It is so good.
Yeah, and let us know if you haven't watched it because of probably the reason I didn't watch it. I was so hesitant with this show because, and I've said this a couple times now, so I'll be brief, but due to the Daredevil movie, which yes, there's a director's cut, which makes it slightly better than the theatrical cut. But I was so excited. He's my second favorite superhero, Daredevil. And I was very excited for the movie. The movie bombed. And so I was just so burned by that. Yes, this is several years after the movie, but I had heard from a couple of friends, hey, you need to watch the show. And I stayed the hell away from it because I didn't want to suffer through what I suffered through the movie. And then, months and months went by. Season two was almost, it had wrapped production. It was almost out. I was at home one day. My wife had gone off to visit relatives, and I was flipping through Netflix because at the time it was just Netflix, guys. And I came across it and I was hesitant. And then, time went by. It's one of those things where you're just flipping through stuff and 45 minutes go by. And I was like, why not? I pressed play, put on episode one while I was in the kitchen. I was watching in the background. It didn't hook me. I didn't love it, but I didn't hate it. It's one of the first things that was very noticeable for me. And then, I had my dinner. I sat down and I watched episode one and two. Those, in my opinion, I think are the slowest ones. However, what I did take away from episode two was that how gritty and grounded and violent it was. So I ended up binging the entire show, it's 13 episodes that night. I stayed up because it after episode two, I just was in, man. I was locked. After episode like when episode three started, the show owned me. I didn't even realize how late it was. I just was still in my living room watching the show, watching the show, watching the show. I didn't know the episode count. I didn't know how long it was. I wasn't checking like, oh, they're 45 minutes to an hour. I was that hooked. And as Griff said, I don't know if it's because I'm such a hardcore comic book Daredevil fan or because I like this type of shit, but I was in and I absolutely adore the cast. Charlie Cox completely sold me on the fact that he's Matt Murdock, aka Daredevil. Funny enough, what I was bitching about is like I don't want to watch it because it's going to be too much like the movie. I knew the red suit was coming at some point, even though I hadn't seen the series. But I really liked him in his, because I could get that shit put together in my closet. Yeah, I could go get a black hoodie and sweatpants and that mask thing that he's got. That's something we could all get together. So I like that. I was like, okay, this is not a guy who has armored chainmail shit up in his closet like in the movie where he's got like several suits, and I like that about him.
Hmm.
I like that he could get hurt. You could see Matt some of these fights, that infamous hallway fight that's now become a part of the show. I really like that, he gets hurt. You could hear the punches in his ribs and things like that, and he's out of breath. And And I like that because that's what a normal human being would do. He'd be like, well, shit, I'm out of breath. I got to finish this fight, but I'm dead. The fights are really, really well choreographed. They're so well done in this show. I was amazed about that first fight that we all see where, he saves Karen. They go from Karen's apartment through the stairway down to the hallway. It's all raining. It's all, you know, down to shit. Gets stabbed, cut. I like that about the show, that it's real. I love the villain. I always thought Vincent D'Onofrio was an amazing. I liked him all the way back from fucking, he plays that dumb villain in Man in Black. But here, this is the Wilson Fisk that I like, that I'd been waiting for. Because although rest in peace, Michael Clark Duncan did his best, it's just kind of goofy. Here, it's dark, man. It's there's something really fucking wrong with Kingpin and the way he plays, the necessity to have to be loved, and the way he plays off of Charlie Cox. It's just, and he's menacing as hell. He's a big fat dude, but as we see, as the episodes progress, he's strong as all hell, man, and he's lethal. I mean, we've seen him chop a dude's head off with a car door. We've seen him go toe to toe with Daredevil and hold his own. And so he's not just some fat guy, which one would make the mistake of thinking, he's just some fat guy. I could take him down. Wrong. You're gonna get your ass beat.
That's all
Which,
muscle.
Daredevil does. And the episodes, they just keep getting better and better as the show goes on. It's not like some shows like Game of Thrones, which I do love, but some episodes are hit or miss. Some episodes you're like, what the hell was this? This show really does, as the episodes move forward, continue to get better and better. I love Deborah Ann Wool in anything she does, but particularly I love her as Karen Page. I bought into it. In each season, in each episode, she's doing something better. She grows in her career, she grows in her relationships, she grows personally. And I like that because you don't really see that. And the dynamic between Foggy and Matt is something that I really dig because Matt doesn't have family. So Foggy's his one family member. And Foggy's the one dude that even when he doesn't agree with him, even when he thinks Matt's being a complete asshead, he'll stick around. And to have a friend like that, even Dick Grayson walked the hell away from Batman at some point.
Yeah.
Matt is always going to have Foggy. As long as Foggy's got breath, he's going to be there. I like that they didn't go like too, they just kept it grounded. I mean, yeah, it's within the MCU. We can clearly see that the New York attack happened, but I like that they stuck to it. And I like that Matt Gaetz, even though he's a lethal fighter, he's an expert martial arts in this. You've seen from some of our videos, he could go toe to toe with Batman. He could also get the shit kicked out of him and be
Yeah.
laying on the ground bloody as hell. And that's where the idea is like, you need to change your suit because you're gonna get killed. I love that. And when he does change the suit and shows up in the red armor, I think we all clapped and cheered.
I think the best character in this show, and perhaps the best written one, is most certainly Kingpin and Vincent D'Onofrio. I really enjoy his backstory, and
I agree.
Vincent D'Onofrio's presence in the role is so well done.
Scary.
Yeah, I mean, especially with how he was built up, because at first we were led to believe he needed this translator, as he is essentially, well, he's not called the Kingpin for no reason. He's the Kingpin of 6 gangs at this point, and they're led to believe he's a lot dumber than he actually is. He's very manipulative, and it plays off so well. And even the supporting characters, like Madame Gao, I think is fantastic in all the Netflix shows. The Russians are great. Every character in this show is fantastic. The side plots are also really fun. They don't take away from the main story, and they still build upon everything. Like with Ben Urich and Karen Page, they worked well together. I like Ben Urich. I'm a huge
I do.
Spider-Man fan, and gotta love Ben. I liked how everything built to a point, even if it may not seem like it, like with the side plots or with this mystery villain that Matt is trying to uncover. Everything is purposeful, and I dig it. I love shows that do that. This is so well written. Yes, there are some slow moments. I like Night Nurse, played by Rosario Dawson. I think she did a great job. I like how she jumped from show to show. Hopefully, we see her back, but it wouldn't surprise me if we don't. I'm trying to think of what I don't like, but just whenever I think about this show, there's so many good things about it that no bad thought sticks in my head.
I'll let Griff think, and I'll tell him. I'll tell you guys a couple of things I didn't like, but I've grown to be very okay with. First of all, I do agree with Griff. I love Ben Urich. We got a proper Ben Urich. Things I don't like is in the first, I think it's only the first 4 episodes. I get it. In the comics, Matt's a redhead, and I'm okay with that. But I think we can do away with the red hair for Matt Murdock. In the first couple of episodes, and Griff noticed this too, his hair is like sometimes intensely red, and it looks weird. It doesn't look cool. And then another thing that I hated, I just did not like the glasses that Matt wears. I it's not that it's the style of them. I don't and funny enough, I have a exact replica of the fucking things. But I just never became even when I put them on. And Griff may tell me differently, but if I put these things
Still
on,
think they look good.
I still
Let us know
think
in the
that
comments.
I still think I look goofy as all hell. So I rarely wear these because I have several pairs of red shade glasses. But when he wears them, I also think they're like a little bit like John Lennonly.
Oh, they
They
definitely
just
are John Lennon, 100%.
and so I really the one thing I liked from the stupid Ben Affleck movie were the glasses he wore. And I finally got a pair, so but that's really it. It's just his r intensely red hair and the style of glasses. But before I forget, and this is one thing that so many things pissed me off from the movie, but we got Stick here, and I think he was masterfully played.
Hmm.
The dynamic between Stick and young Matt, and even adult Matt, I can't, man, I can't even. I still remember how I got into Daredevil comics. I didn't know who the hell Daredevil was for the longest time. We were at a comic shop one day, and my dad picked up Man Without Fear, and he was just like, "Why don't you just try this?" And took it home, and that was it. Became a fan of the dude ever since. And so that's why I guess maybe that's why I was okay with the black pajama outfit at first. I know that's part of the comics. And so there's so many things that I do love from this show. And season 2, season 3, Defenders was when Born Again was announced, we were happy, but then we were hesitant because it wasn't going to be part of the Netflix show. I don't know why that was ever even a thing, but now we know it's a continuation and we cannot wait. If you haven't seen this show, please, man, go.
Definitely go watch it. I do want to say what I remembered because I think it's really important to clue in on, and I know Edward's going to agree with me with this, but I really liked how they wrote and kept Matt's relationship with religion, and especially in season 1, where it's super prevalent, more so than season 2, where his relationship with the confessions, with the father, I think was really well done, especially when he's not asking for permission. He knows he's doing going to do some bad things, and he
Asking for forgiveness.
asking for
I agree.
forgiveness. And it's I really enjoyed that, especially how they kept that and they made it such not a big part of the show, but I would say it's an important part of the show because it gives us a new insight into Matt's character, and especially with how he knows what he's doing is wrong, but he knows it's a necessary evil, and he knows he's in his mind going to pay for it later, but it's worth it.
I
And I
agree.
like that a lot.
I agree 100% with that. I myself am not a perfect Christian, but I am Christian. And I like it, like we saw Miss Marvel and she's Muslim, and that's just part of her character. So that has to be there. Nightcrawler and Matt Murdock are Catholic. So for them to have included that in the show, if it wasn't part of the show, it would have been missed. It's so
Oh yeah.
integral to his character, his relationship with the father. One of the things that really does it for me with his Catholicism is the following thing. Batman doesn't kill, but it's more of a just a choice that I don't want to go that far. With Matt, we understand it more, makes a lot more sense, if you will, because it's a preserving of his soul sort of thing. It's like if I
Yeah.
take that step, I'm gonna go to hell, and I don't want to. I don't, I just it's forbidden in Catholicism and Christianity to take a life. So many other things are forbidden, but that's Matt's reasoning as to why he won't do it. Not just like Batman, like, oh, I don't kill, but he leaves a trail of people that are gonna end up
Hospital
dead.
bills. Yeah.
So with Matt, I like that. I like that he's got. It's not just personal morals. It's these morals that have been instilled. He grew up in St. Agnes orphanage, so it's not like, oh, it was chosen on me. That's where he grew up, and these are the people that took care of him, fed him, clothed him. Yes, his father left him some pretty good cash. That was for college and things like that. But where he gets his
Hmm.
upbringing, where he gets his morals, is from the priest, from the nuns that took care of him, and that's where really all of this. And then he's a practicing Catholic. It's not just like, well, sometimes I go to mass. He goes to mass, he confesses, and you'll see him with
Yeah.
his rosary, and he'll be beating the crap out of people. He'll come home, take off his pajamas, and pray for forgiveness because he understands that, as Griff said, these things are going to have consequences that he ultimately pays for them. And I like that he's not a perfect hero. I like that he's not like,
Oh
well,
yeah.
well, I do this because he also does a lot of the things that he's compelled to do because Batman goes out at night and he dresses up as Batman, comes home, takes it off, he's Bruce Wayne and goes to sleep. Matt really can't do that because as we see in some of the first episodes and later on he confesses to Foggy, he can't turn it off. He hears all these things. His hearing is to such a strong degree that he heard a small little girl being molested by her own father. That's really when he took it upon himself to dress up, put on a mask and go out and beat the crap out of this guy.
Yeah.
And he tries to put some of this away. And in the comics, we read that, sometimes he is dead tired. He tries to go to sleep, but bad things happen when he does that. And he later on tells Foggy, he's like, I don't put on the suit, people get hurt. If I take a night off, people get hurt. I find that so endearing because even if he wanted to, he can't turn off his hearing. So there's so
Great
many
character.
reasons as to why this dude is one of my favorite superheroes of all time. And he's very well played by Charlie. That dude, as soon as he comes on screen, he convinced me that he was a lawyer, that he was blind, and that he was Matt Murdock.
Yeah.
Him and Eldon convinced me that they were best buddies from college. And we get a couple flashback scenes that prove that. And I just when they're on scene together, I love it when they're angry at each other, and I love it when they're just being buddies because they're so fucking hilarious. These guys are hilarious.
Yeah. And even with Daredevil being brutal, we still get lighthearted Matt as he does try to separate it. But as Edward says, it blends a lot more. But I do like how we still get lighthearted Matt here.
I do like lighthearted Matt because again, I'm sounding repetitive, but Bruce Wayne's moody and broody all the damn time, with or without the mask, because Bruce Wayne is the mask. Here, Matt understands during the day he's a lawyer. He's got a best buddy who he keeps this secret from for God knows how long. He dates. Matt's a player, you know.
Yeah.
He's a happy-go-lucky guy. He goes out for beers with his buddies. He smiles. He cracks jokes. He's witty at court. He'll crack a joke and maybe the judges don't like him all that much. I know he rubs cops the wrong way, but that's just part of his wit. If he was sitting there mad and broody all the time, it wouldn't work. It's
Yeah.
like, well, what are you so upset about? And he's an Ivy leaguer. He had a great career. That's where he met his buddy. That's also where he met, probably, in my opinion, the love of his life. I've seen this show, this particular season, maybe 13, 14 times. And I'm pretty sure I'll revisit it very soon, probably closer to Daredevil Born
November.
Again, because it's just that good.
Continuing on with Daredevil season 2, just getting right into it. This season is better than season 1. Hands down. I think this is the best season out of all of Daredevil. And primarily that's because of John Barenthal and Elodie Young. These two are fantastic introductions to this show. Starting off with John, just because we'll get to everything else, but John Barenthal is the perfect Punisher. To me, he is the best part about this season. I like him so much. I really liked his character. I think what they wrote for him and how they developed it was extremely well done. The emotions that John was able to portray and the little ticks that he had, I thought were just perfect. I don't think there's anything bad about his performance. I can't wait to see him return because he was near perfect. I mean, we did get the suit towards the end, which I liked. I liked the inspiration for it. We have the bullet hole in the head. The action in this series is amazing as always. The cinematography. I really enjoyed the conversation in particular between Matt and Punisher on the rooftop. I thought that was a really good debate about morality, and especially since it was so early in the season, seeing them both prove each other's points as the season goes on, I thought was extremely great writing. And then moving on to Aloyde Young, she did a great job as Elektra. I can't imagine anyone else in this role. This show has perfect castings for nearly every single character. And I enjoy what she brought to this season and the chaos that she brought to Matt's life because even though we still had the Punisher arc and everything going on in the show, adding this bit of chaos and this overarching story that they're later going to set up for Defenders, I do think helped, and it didn't feel rushed and didn't feel like I put things to the side just because there were natural breaks in the Punisher arc where they had to put something in. And I think putting in the Elektra backstory and the current story with the hand fit very nicely, as well as it gave us some natural time progression instead of just doing time skips for Punisher. So I was very happy about that. I thought it was a very good way to tell the story. Well choreographed, great action. The acting's fantastic by everyone. I mean, if you enjoy season one, this season's even better. And that's hard to believe because season one's near perfect. This season, I think, is perfect.
I agree. I had a lot of fun with this season. As you guys know, I'm a I mean, he's my favorite Marvel superhero. I had no idea that they were going to go, and talking, staying away from like spoilers and trailers and things like that. I had no idea that they were going to go the route of the Punisher and Elektra, because nothing was alluded to that in season one. Of course, many of the season one fans or comic book fans like myself were wondering, if not anything about the Punisher, definitely, well, where in the hell is Elektra? Because
Mhm.
she's such an integral part of Matt Murdock, aka Daredevil's life. So diving into season two, like Griff says, it's very well written. The fights are amazing. The action is 10 times larger than it was in season one, if you could even imagine such a thing. We have new villains, we have new characters being introduced, but it doesn't diminish what happens with our first three protagonists. We still have the evolution of Matt Murdock with his friendship with Foggy Nelson, which was a big part of season one, and his sort. We all kind of knew that there was a thing between he and Karen Page in
Oh,
season
yeah,
one,
without a doubt.
and those of us who read comics know that what was going to happen. Again, and I'll die on this hill. I think Deborah and Wool completely changed the character of Karen Page.
Oh, yeah.
She was just a lonely bimbo secretary before. Now she's so much more. And so it makes sense that Matt would be intrigued by a woman like this. I like the three dynamics between these people. And I like that this takes place right after season one. I mean, Daredevil's out there doing his thing. He's got his suit now. I don't really like the first iteration of the helmet of the suit. It's got like these weird Captain America First Avengers like earmuffs. That's my only gripe about it. Later on in the show, he gets two upgrades for the helmet, which I think fitted well. And I agree with Griffin. The introduction to the Punisher, I think John is the Punisher. I mean, he absolutely looks the Punisher, and he doesn't really do the skull thing towards the very end, very much like Daredevil didn't do the red suit till the last episode of season one. But it works, man. You believe that this guy is Frank Castle. You believe that, something horrible happened to his family. For those that don't know, I won't spoil it. Every time I ever read a Punisher comic or saw him in Spider-Man the animated series, it was kind of leveled down, and I understand why. But here, Punisher is unleashed, and he
That
just
prison scene.
fucking goes, man. Like even when he first appears, when we really don't, if you're just watching the show without watching any of the trailers, you don't know that it's the Punisher. How he goes about punishing people and killing people, you're like, that could only ever be the Punisher. Is it the Punisher? And so the way I watched it the first time around was without watching any of the trailers. I had no idea it was going to be the Punisher. And when he's actually revealed, that was pretty cool. It just the look of him, the The sheer acting skills that John Barenthal has, the veracity of the fight scenes, and I love when he and Matt Murdock are on screen facing each other off because there's two very different ideologies, and it's not like Batman versus Superman. It's completely Frank wants to put you in the ground. Matt, because of his Catholicism, doesn't want to go that far. He believes in people being able to redeem themselves. Frank's like, fuck that. He's a pedophile. He's gonna come right back out and do it again
Yeah.
a couple of years from now. So let's just get rid of him.
And let us know in the comments which ideology you agree with.
Yeah, that's an interesting question. And then of course, so Matt's well, Daredevil's thrown into this whirlwind of like, I can't stand for this. And also things are being questioned like, well, maybe the fact that you're here kind of created this person. So now he really has to put his stance there. While he's dealing with this, his relationship with Karen Page, his on and off again friendship that's been fractured with Foggy Nelson, all of a sudden Electra gets back thrown into the mix. And I Griffin, I've had this discussion numerous times. I agree that Karen is better for Matt Murdock, but I will die on the hill that Electra is the love of Matt Murdock's life, just because of everything that she meant to him at a very young age while in college, and even then, so when she comes full back into his life, and because she very much like Catwoman understands who Batman is as Batman, she understands Matt Murdock's alter ego. She understands that okay, he's this nice, well-combed haired guy who, helps people, but she also understands that there's something in him that's broken that he needs to put on the suit, beat the crap out of people to, be able to sleep at night. And she's with that. However, I will also say that she's not right for Matt. She's crazy as all hell. There's something really wrong with Elektra. She gets a real kick out of, slashing someone's throat. Even when they do work well together and she helps him out, she ultimately gets him into a lot of shit. So she's not well with him. I love Aloyda Young's portrayal of Elektra. It's no surprise to any of you guys. Although I did clap because I saw Jennifer Gardner and she beefed up and she looks quite well for her age in Deadpool and Wolverine. Aloyda Young in real life is a black belt in karate. And from just the look of her, she just looks like a fucking ninja. She looks like she's there to kill you. And so I love that, man.
Yeah, we did a video about it a bit over a year ago with who is the love of Matt's life. And before I did say Karen Page. After rewatching this, watching a bit of Defenders again, yeah, it's definitely Electra. I think you should 100% end up with Karen for this show, but it's definitely Electra. Especially like when you get into season 3 at the start. It's definitely Electra. It's I know most of you guys agree, but it's I flopped.
He's so drawn into her, even when he knows I got to stay the hell away from this woman. She's bad news. She's crazy. She'll just kill someone that upsets her. He loves her.
Yeah.
He can't. It's easy to stay away from someone like that when they're not in your life. You're like, they don't care about me, fucking. But when she just shows back up, even though he tries to resist, it's hard. First of all, Aloyda Young is a beautifully striking woman. She looks seductive as all hell in many of the scenes. He's not expecting her. Last thing he ever expected to happen in his life was to run back into Elektra, the love of his young life. All these feelings start swirling up in him, and she's hot, and there's a lot of chemistry. And as the saying goes, where there was fire, there's ashes, and she starts stirring all this shit up again. Of course, feelings arise. He loves her, and
Yeah.
he even says so in this season. He tells her up front, I'll you run, I jump. Where you go, I go. I like that he's got that one deadly thing that will make him falter. Because again, you have this really diehard Catholic guy who believes in Christ and believes in redemption, but yet Elektra's able to pull him into that darkness for a little bit. And for a little bit, he goes a little far. He's willing to just really beat the crap out of people. She wants him to unleash, but he's always able to just hold back enough to remain true to himself, which I think is cool.
Yeah, it's incredibly well written. This is by far one of the best projects Marvel's ever done to date. For whatever reason you haven't started the show yet, please, if you're here for whatever reason, start the show.
There's this one particular episode, the hospital, where the hand just fucking like
Yeah.
20 just show up at a hospital. They don't care. They're ready, man. The
Oh
cops could
yeah,
have been there, whatever. They just show up and start fucking shit up, breaking through windows. They're
nothing
climbing
can
up
be done.
walls during the night. Foggy and Claire at the hospital, and just very horror movie oriented. The fucking lights go out and they're all fucked. Like Matt Daredevil shows up, but the fact that the danger level goes up that high, like it literally is like half a dozen fucking ninjas, if not more,
Oh,
that
and they
just show up
snuck
there.
in with Daredevil on the roof too.
Yeah,
It's terrifying, but it's so good. All the fight scenes are so well done.
yeah. We get several fights like that with the hand. It's one thing to fight Kingpin, one thing to fight mob bosses, but these are fucking deadly assassin ninjas, man. So
Immortal
that
ninjas. I mean, how
I love that. And I didn't know as I'm watching the show the first time around that we were gonna get this. I knew Electra was there, but they're kind of like doing like falling back in love thing. There's a lot of flashback scenes, which I love because we get to see Foggy and Matt as younger men, and Matt fall in love with Electra. You get to see Electra just bail on him, but you also get like Electra's like, "Hey, I need you to help me out with this shit. This is." So you get to see Daredevil and Electra take on the Hand, and you get to see Daredevil and Punisher, which I fucking love. And
oh
towards the
yeah.
very end, we get Stick back, and we learn that there's this dynamic between Stick, Electra, and Daredevil, which is awesome. And towards the very end, when we see Punisher show back up, I'll,
Yeah.
I'll just say that I won't say what happens. I'll just say he shows back up. Thought that was cool, and I love his nickname for Daredevil,
There's
Red.
actually one thing I remember that I don't like.
Okay,
Black Sky was stupid as hell. That made
Black Sky's always been dumb as fuck.
it's always been dubbed, but this in the show it came completely out of left field and had zero explanation, and it just said, "You're the Black Sky," and they're like, "Oh yeah, of course, it makes sense all along," but there's no
Well, there was a
explanation or
Black
lead
Sky
up.
in season one, which I didn't. I also thought was
I
kind of stupid.
remember, but there's still no explanation. Still don't have any explanation even going forward. It's still just stupid. That's the worst part. But even with that, it's this show still makes has a good dynamic.
Yeah, no, I love it. Punisher, John Barenthal is as deadly as you would want the Punisher to be. He's as brutal as the Punisher. And you cheer for the dude every single time he does something to someone who's evil, because if you've ever wronged anyone, if you've ever hurt a woman, been a pedophile, you're into child pornography, you rape, if you've ever done anything wrong, he's going to he's going to kill you. And he's going to enjoy it. And the crowd cheers every time I saw him on screen. That pawn shop scene, you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
He was on his way out, and that dude's like, "You're into kids," and it doesn't show it, but we know he murdered that guy
brutally.
ruthlessly. I like that he also has a heart. He's got a soft spot for animals, which is like he's a dickhead. He's strong. He's a special forces, but he can't stand for animal beatings and things like that. Charlie Cox is as great as he was in season one with Daredevil. He looks better now.
Yeah,
He's I guess he's gotten a little bit more used to the costume. The dynamic between Foggy and Karen. I love those two, Deborah and Wool. And Eldon is Foggy, and Aloyda Young, man. Every time she's on screen, she's like a Bond chick. She's sexy, seductive, alluring, if you will,
she's better
and
than a
and
Bond
deadly.
chick. She actually does something.
And when you see her, like, because most chicks can be sexy, she's also lethal. Like you buy into her. Like what I every time I watch this season, and I've seen it several times, it is my favorite season out of the three. Every time she does something like kill, I buy into the fact that she's enjoying that shit because of Matt's reaction to it. Because he's always like, "Fuck," because that would be my reaction
Hmm.
if I saw a beautiful woman just fucking do what she does. And also when you see her doing it, we're all grown and we can tell when stunt doubles. And although I'm admittedly so, I'm sure that there's a stunt double in there somewhere. For the most part, that's her. That's Aloyda Young doing that shit. It's not like in Daredevil, the movie, where they have that stupid ass playground fucking flying in the air fight sequence thing, which was choreographed, by the way, by a world class martial artist. And every time I watch that movie, I'm like, where the fuck did that guy get his black belt? Here, when you do see Electra fight, you buy into it. It looks real. Yes, it's choreographed, so it's not a real fight, but still, it just I buy into her. She looks like she's a real life assassin ninja that belongs to the hand. There's something in Aloyde's eyes that just it's like looking into a doll's eyes, man. She's just crazy at sometimes without even saying a word, which is odd. Best season, in my opinion. Of course, you guys are welcome to disagree. It brings three of my favorite characters together in a way I never thought possible. I never thought we were gonna get fucking Punisher
Oh yeah. No.
um in a Marvel show. I definitely didn't think I was ever gonna live the dream of seeing Punisher and Daredevil together on screen. And after Jennifer Gardner, I didn't think we'd see another Elektra, and definitely not a good Elektra. And Kevin, Marvel, Disney, she's clearly not in season one of Born Again. She better fucking come back. She better. It just there was rumors of her recasting with Eiza Gonzalez, which is a beautiful actress, but just the depth, the range, and the beauty and elegance that Aloyde brings to the character, I'm not sure you're going to be able to replicate it. I mean, you were smart enough to go get John Barenthal back, Charlie Cox, Vincent D'Onofrio, and after fans pleaded, and I guess you heard us, you went and got Eldon and Deborah back. So fucking go get Aloyde back.
Yeah.
Complete your shit.
We have finally made it all the way through Netflix's Daredevil with season three. And in terms of season one, two, and three, this one sits pretty solidly in the middle. It's the second best, second worst, however you want to word it, but by no means is it bad at any stretch. This season is so good. And just like how it is for the previous seasons, the standout are the new characters. I think Ben Poindexter and him for Bullseye is just so well done and well written. I liked Agent Nadim. I don't think there's a single bad thing about this season. I guess the only thing, like, just that I would question is I know why that your records when you're a kid are more sealed, especially for therapists, but if you're going to be hired by the government or some like extremely important agency, and for some reason you don't get access to like therapy records or just like sealed records or just anything that could be pretty vital to your agents, just knowing who they are, I feel like just that's a giant overstep in real life and in this, just because they could have caught Bullseye so much sooner because of it, and he would have been hired in the first place. But given that it's still realistic, because that's how it works in real life, that's it's not really an issue. It's just my personal viewpoints for how it actually works. This season's fantastic. I think it's there's nothing wrong with it. It's just season two is just better just because of the characters. Like the acting in here is tremendous. Having Bullseye come as Daredevil and then go take us down one expectation with mirroring the comics so well and then taking a turn when we expect Karen to die and then they do something else was really well done. I know one person in particular didn't like that, but honestly, I wouldn't have had it any other way. Charlie Cox as Daredevil is so well done, especially after the recent events of the Defenders and the introduction of his mother. He goes through quite a bit and it mirrors or hints at what we're going to get in Daredevil Born Again with his anger and frustration. Because here we do see a very angry and betrayed Matt, which is going to lead further into the next project that he's in. And then being able to come back and redeem himself, get himself to trust in his friends again, and them accepting the risk of it, especially after telling Karen. I really liked it. And I think the way it was written was in such a way that you believe that you understand why Matt's doing what he's doing, even though you may think he's a moron. That's just because we know better and it's not our lives at stake. What he does makes sense. And then the way they portray him getting his hearing back, like with the trains and vibrations, and him getting a new way to hear, especially when it would have been useful this season before, but being able to hear via touch, I think was very well done. I love it. I love this show so much. And when season three came out, I was hooked. I knew I liked it better than season one. It was just So well done. Vincent D'Onofrio's Kingpin, as always, is really good. He absolutely played the FBI, and he set up his return so well. It's a shame that at least we're finally getting a conclusion to that, but it's a shame we didn't get it sooner because he really did set up the Mare arc and his return so perfectly well. And there's only good things to say. I think cinematography, directing, everything's great.
Absolutely. I love this show. I agree with Griff. The new members of the cast are endearing. My favorite of the three is funny. It's not going to be any of the ones that you think, but it is Sister Maggie. I've always had a crush on that actress from when I was a kid. She was in Willow. I just always thought she was a beautiful woman. And I had no idea that she was going to be a part of the cast because the posters don't really, allure to the cast. I thought she was great as Sister Maggie. I did really enjoy Agent Nadim, the whole situation with his, you know, financial situation, his
Mhm.
family, how Kingpin, manipulates his way. He's so smart, how
Yeah,
he weasels his way into people's lives. I did really like Agent Poindexter. I thought it was a good twist,
great
that he's this
casting.
FBI agent. I really like, the situation with his mind. Won't get into it if you haven't seen it. If you haven't seen it, please go watch it. I like the twist that Griff is talking about, where, if you're a fan of the comics, Karen dies. Here, they gave us a twist that the way, and I understand why a particular friend of ours didn't like it, but I also liked it, and I understand why Griff likes it because it was something that was unexpected. So when it happened, I was in shock. I was like, fuck,
Yeah.
that's not the way. I totally thought it was going to be Karen.
Oh yeah.
And so when it wasn't, and when it was a different character, I think it hurt just as bad because I was so invested in said character. But the writing's terrific. The stunts are as good as in the previous seasons. The fight scenes are phenomenal.
Oh yeah.
You guys, we do get an accurate Daredevil versus Bullseye fight, because they're more grounded. It's not so much like I Griff rolls his eyes, and I hate going back to the Daredevil movie with Ben Affleck. The movie wasn't great, and the fights between him and Bullseye, there was a lot of CGI and all this like
Yeah.
acrobatical nonsense. Here, it's really just two dudes just face to face going at it. I do like the fact that Matt gets a new hearing ability, which I love. He is my favorite Marvel character, and to see him done so well, it makes me smile. This show is really good. The scenes between Charlie Cox and Vincent D'Onofrio, and even the scenes with Deborah and Vincent D'Onofrio, are amazing because he's so fucking scary. He's such a
Hmm.
big dude, and she's so small and frail as she should be that I every time I thought they were going to be together, I just kept thinking he's going to snap her neck. Because when Kingpin loses it, he really fucking loses it. Like that dude
Yeah.
goes completely ape shit. Like he's got no notion of reality when he loses it. So there's no telling what he's going to do.
Hmm.
And it's crazy. And the scenes between him and Charlie are amazing. Every scene they're in together. These two dudes were born to play Matt Murdock, aka Daredevil, and Kingpin. It's crazy. It's crazy good.
So then, okay, I have a question for you because we talked about this last month with the Penguin, and then let us know in the comments what you think as well. But last month with the Penguin, we said that this is better than a lot of the comics out there, especially with the Penguin. Do you feel the same way about that with Daredevil? Because I think in so many aspects, this show gets they change things that just make it so much better than how it is in the comics. And the comics have later, after the show, have gone to reflect those changes just because they were so good in the Netflix series. So
I love that, by the
overall,
way.
yeah. So overall, do you think that the Netflix series is better than the Daredevil comics, or at least a
I do.
majority of them? Yeah,
I do.
I
I
agree.
do a lot. I've been reading Daredevil since I was, I think, maybe 11.
Hmm.
And it started on a whim. My dad took me to a comic book shop, and usually we'd pick out X-Men or Batman. That was just I didn't even fuck around. But my dad had picked up Frank Miller's Man Without Fear, and he was like, "Why don't you check this out?" And I saw that he was kind of normally I'd be like, so I took it home, and we became fans. But the point of the story is that a lot of the Daredevil comics, especially the earlier stuff, was very goofy.
Yes, they were.
It was it was literally him running around in yellow, like a yellow leotard, and his cane was his his Billy Club, and it was
I do
some
kind of
of it
like that
was
though. That aspect
so-
I do like.
some of it was, yeah, even Ben Affleck's movie
Yeah.
incorporated that, and some of it was really goofy. Matt Murdock is not like Batman. He's really not broody, and he's charismatic, and he's the dynamic between him and Foggy. But what the Netflix show has been able to do is ground it more and make it to a point where it's so dark and gritty, but yet Matt's still able to keep his wit and
Hmm.
be funny at times. The Netflix show is better than the comics for me.
I
I
agree.
I just I really like it. It's really good. Season 1 through 3. Of course, I've told you before, season 2 is my favorite just because it
Hmm.
introduces two of my other favorite characters, which is Elektra and Punisher, and
Yeah.
it does it so well. My to go Daredevil stuff is the Netflix show.
I think this series in general, talk as a whole, is perfect. Yeah, there's a couple of slow moments, but you have 39 episodes. You're bound to have one or two stumbles. That's forgivable. Perfect does not mean every step of the way is perfect. It just means this is exactly what we needed. The only thing I would change, and I do understand why it is that is that I would change the newspaper instead of being the Daily Bulletin just to be the Daily Bugle because it was supposed to be. It was supposed to be Daily Bugle. It's just they couldn't because of rights. That's the only thing I would have changed, but
They
it's
could change
so
it now.
minor. They could. I don't think they're.
Oh
I
well,
hope
no,
they don't.
well,
I
can they
hope they
though?
don't. They shouldn't. I hope they don't.
I don't think they can though.
I I don't think so. I hope they
Yeah,
don't. But I mean,
legally they still can't because
yeah,
Spider-Man's owned by Sony, which is still just
true. But the
Disney.
Daily
Just
Bugle is in Marvel now, but they're a separate company. Well, the Daily Bugle crashed and burned, and then J. Jonah Jameson did his own show from his basement, and then came back into popularity, and then now has his own show. It's not really much of a newspaper as the Daily Bulletin is. So I think them being separate totally makes sense. But in March, we get essentially season four, and then
it's
hope
season 4.
it's season four.
Griffin and I have still spoken about this at length for a long time, and it's season. Well, now it wasn't going to be season 4. It was going to be its
Legally, it
whole
couldn't
new.
be season four, but no, it
It
is
was going to be its whole new thing. Remember when it was going to, like,
be
we always
trash.
thought it was going to be connected to the previous 3 seasons, but then Kevin Feige got a hold of it. He sat there and watched, I think he said
It's
4 episodes, and he was like, no, 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 this
it's a shit.
absolutely has to be, it's shit, and it's got to be connected
Yeah,
to the Netflix stuff, which is the best way to go because, and this is our opinion, but the Netflix show, it was so well done.
yeah.
And I remember, I've, you guys are probably tired of me saying this, but I was hesitant to even give it a shot because of the movie. But when I finally did, and Griff would tell you, I think I've watched all 3 seasons at least one time every year since
Yeah.
because it's that good. Do I want a Daredevil movie? I don't know that they would give them the quality that they've done it in the
Put him in
show.
Spider-Man. That's it.
Oh
Just put
yeah,
him in
yeah,
Spider-Man.
put
Don't
them
give
in.
him a movie. Just put him in Spider-Man. Stick to the show. That's all we need.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah. I mean,
I love
season.
this cast. I know at
Yeah.
some point we're going to get a new Daredevil because it just, Charlie's not ancient, but he's 42. And that's not old, but it's just the
For the
shit he does
stunts.
as yeah,
Yeah.
it gets to you.
He's been doing this for
Um,
10 years. That's insane.
I can only hope that the people that take over love it as much as Charlie and portray the character as well as Charlie. 10 years is a long time. I know he's been doing it for longer. He's probably going to be doing it until he's 90. But Charlie's great, man. I wouldn't have gave this dude a chance in hell.
Yeah.
If Griff would have told me 10 years ago, hey, I got the perfect casting for Daredevil, and they would have showed me this dude, I'd have been like, who the fuck is this guy? I didn't know Charlie before this. I'd never
Yeah.
seen Charlie. I don't think I've ever seen Charlie out. Maybe once, maybe
I
Boardwalk
haven't.
Empire. Didn't really care for his character there. Here, this dude
Stellar.
and I can't wait for, especially now that we know that Kevin's like, nope, it's connected.
Yeah.
For legality reasons, they can't call it season 4, but Griffin I will.
Oh, yeah. 100%.
Daredevil Born Again is season 4. Given how season 3 ends, I'm very interested in seeing, and given what we now know that, Hawkeye is connected to this and blah, 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 but there's a majorial campaign. And not only that, but like how people are like, oh yeah, let's just go vote for this dude who committed all those fucking, like, he got
That's what I'm
exonerated
curious
from all of
about.
this
Is like
shit. I
how
want
the
to see
hell are
how
people
he
going to
did
vote
that. Yeah,
for him? Well,
got a
actually,
great
okay.
fucking lawyer. I'm
I'm
I'm looking
excited.
forward to it because I'm a fan of Mayor Kingpin. I'm a fan of Shadowland. Fucking love that.
I love Shadowland.
Um, and I'm waiting to see like his anti-vigilante. We all know it's coming. His
Watching
anti-vigilante
the show
law.
week by week is gonna kill me.
No, I can't wait.
No, I'm so
I've
fucking
waited this
impatient.
long.
No, I week by week's gonna kill me. I can't.
I just hope it's great,
I do
but
too.
getting back to this season, I love the cast. I love the writing team, the stunts, the fights. Yeah, I can't praise this season. It's still season
Absolutely.
two is my favorite, but this one is 10 out of 10 easily.
Easily.
It's just great.
Yeah, I think it is close in rankings to number two, but I do think number two's better. It's just, this is so good. The fights, I think, in this season are some of the best out of all Daredevil seasons, especially at the Bulletin. I think it's just so well done.
One thing that I do need to add is that if you were not a fan of season one because you didn't see Daredevil in his red outfit, you probably will be one of those few people who don't like season three
That's
because
true.
he's not in the red outfit. It's actually,
It makes sense though, but yeah,
yeah, it makes
absolutely.
total sense. But he's got to go back to his, as you can see in my background, he's got to go back to his pajamas,
Yeah.
which is awesome. Because if you can wear that shit and do what he does and not get killed, you're awesome.
Oh, absolutely. And if you enjoy the Netflix series of Daredevil, go check out our trailer review for Daredevil Born Again. We absolutely cannot wait for March, and we have a feeling many of you can't wait either. This is going to be so much
Absolutely.
fun.
Take care, guys.